All right, so coordinate grid is a graph with a y-axis and x-axis that allows us to plot coordinate locations like on a map. What are the axes on a coordinate grid? And which is which? Katie. So I hear Katie telling me the x-axis is the horizontal axis. And how would we describe horizontal? Because I think some of us get caught up by horizontal and what that means. Adriana. Across. Across, or one might say left and right. Okay, and I also heard Katie tell me that the y-axis is the vertical axis. And how would we describe vertical? Because I think some of us get confused, again, between horizontal and vertical. Kenneth? Up and down. Perfect. Okay. They define for us pretty clearly where is the origin of the graph. Thank you for raising your hand. Kevin, where is the origin of the graph? It's at 0, 0, so that's directly in the middle. So it's in the middle at location 0, 0. And how many quadrants are there on a coordinate grid? Show me with your fingers. How many quadrants on a coordinate grid? Not everybody showing me with your fingers. Fernando, how many quadrants are on a coordinate grid? Yeah, quadrants comes from the root word quad. Same root word as quad. Quad meaning four. Anytime you run into that word. So for those of you who are Spanish speakers or know enough Spanish, think of the word cuatro. That was the very Americanized version of the word cuatro. It comes from the same Latin root word. Okay, so anytime you see that word quad or quat or whatever, that's a lot of times going to give you something that has to do with four. Yes, Kenneth? Quadratic formula. That's a good question. I'm not gonna commit to an answer on that one. I'm not 100% sure as to why that's named the quadratic formula or quadratic equation. Okay. A bicycle has two wheels, hence bicycle. Oh no. Hold on a second. Yes, then you could call it a quadcycle. That would be totally legit. All right. On the bottom, you should have a picture. Should be drawn like this. Let's go ahead and label the axes.
Is it copy?
All right, so which axis is which? Manuel? Up and down is y. Left and right is x. And which quadrants are which? Let's start up here in the top right-hand corner over here. This is which quadrant, Fernando? Those are positive x's and positive y's. No, that's good. That was where I was going next. And which quadrant number is it? What'd you say? 1. If I start moving counterclockwise, I'm now over here. Which quadrant is that, Raisa? And what kind of values are in quadrant 2? Negative x's and positive y's. So everything on the top has positive y's. If I keep moving counterclockwise, and I am now sitting over here, down here in the bottom. Kevin. Quadrant 3, and what type of values are over there? Negative x's and negative y's. So now that we've moved down to the bottom, we've got some negative y's involved here. The final quadrant is quadrant 4. And what type of values are in quadrant 4? Janelle. Positive x's, all the values on the right-hand side are positive x's, and negative y's. Excellent. All right. Coming over here to the examples that we saw in the video. What were the 2 examples in the video? Somebody give me the coordinate pair. 1. Negative 3, 4. So they were given to us in quadrant or coordinate pair form. Notice coordinate pairs have parentheses around them. Who got down the other example? Marlon.
6, negative 7.
6, negative 7. That seems right to me. Again, really easy to move into an XY table. Take our X, put it in the X. Take our Y, put it in the Y. One more example that I'm going to want to graph is this example, 0, 8. If we put that in coordinate pair form, that's 0, 8 in parentheses. Now, 2 things that I really want to focus on when we're getting ready to graph these particular points. And these are actually our key points for the day, so make sure that you're really focused in on what I'm about to say. Because as soon as we're done graphing it, we're going to go to our key points, and you're going to have to repeat these 2 things to me. Number 1, first and foremost, most important, we always graph x then y, and that means we're always going left and right, then up and down. So a lot of people get confused. They flip their x's and our y's. So if I'm going left and right first, I'm looking at my negative 3 over here. That's telling me that I'm going to start at the origin and move negative 1, 2, 3. Positive 4 for the y tells me that I need to move up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Marlon's asking, do I need to show the loops? And that actually brings me to key point number 2. The second biggest mistake that I see, other than mixing up x's and y's, is counting lines instead of counting boxes. So the loops help you remind yourselves that we're counting an entire box. So this is an entire 1. This is an entire 2. This is an entire 3. A lot of people will take it and they will count lines 1, 2, 3, and then they'll start moving up here. 4, 5, or 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And they end up in the wrong place because they're counting lines. So it's really, really important that when we're talking about coordinate grids that we're counting boxes. And that's why I'm going to ask you to show the loops. Once you show at the end of today that you are proficient at doing this with the loops, there will be no more loops. The rest of the unit will be loop-free. So once you get to your coordinate location, you're going to put a dot and you're going to label it negative 3, 4. The next point is 6, negative 7. That tells us to move forward a positive 6. So I start at the origin, I'm going to move forward 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I have a negative 7, so that means I need to move down since I'm moving down now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Put my point and label. That was positive 6, negative 7. The last point, this is probably the most commonly missed graphing point. Any of these that have zeros in it seem to be very, very often missed. So when we see that we have 0, 8, that's telling us we're starting by moving left or right 0. And so I'm starting at the origin and I'm not going to move anywhere left or right. Then I move on to my y. Remember, my y always tells us how much to move up and down. So it says move up a positive 8. So I'm going to stay on the y-axis because I didn't move left or right. And I'm going to be really sloppy with my loops here because I'm still not used to this. And I end up with 8 here, and I'm going to label it 0, 8. So I told you to put a laser focus on those key points. What are our 2 key points for today about graphing coordinates on a coordinate plane? Maureen. Left and right. Then up and down. And in parentheses, I'm going to put really quickly that's x, then y. Second key point. Adriana.
Count boxes, not lines.
Count boxes, not lines. Absolutely. And along with that, I'm going to say count boxes, not lines. And I'm going to put in parentheses, use the loops.